want our Manchester Mancunian listeners to hear you, and also listeners across the feed, is because um, I think you are. I think you are already somebody that should be hailed as a pioneer for Black History Month because
Thank you
you
very
have
much.
encouraged people to have joyous Mondays and to be positive with your videos that you release once a week, as well as showing young people, but also people of any age, that if you have a passion for a musical instrument, if you just get up and practice a little bit every day, you can be great.
I honestly, one of my mottos is practice makes progress because a lot of people say practice makes perfect, and what I see in that is there are actually a lot of logical flaws in that phrase. For example, perfect is, let alone being a standard that is not something that everybody can reach. It's also a very vague standard. So perfect is defined by different people in different standards. So what I mean when I say practice makes progress is don't aim for someone else's definition of perfection. Make sure you do what you do to the best of your ability and don't stop there. Go a step further by taking it to the next level each time because you don't want to have to be left behind because you're staying the same each year.
Brilliant advice. And we're going to be talking about what motivated you to get into drumming. And we're also going to be talking about who you love musically during Black History, not during Black History Month, but for Black History Month. We're going to talk about who you love musically because you get after my own heart. You like old school music, so you look to the classics as well as liking what's kind of modern day, and also we're going to talk about the books that you like to read as well. So you're gonna pass on a little bit of learning. We're gonna go
Yeah.
down that route. So first off, though, Geneva, what was the first piece of music you heard that made you think I want to drum, or who did you see? Something that you heard or something that you saw?
Well, the truth is, what got me into music is because when I was younger, my dad used to play at church. So when I was younger, I always wanted to climb up on the stage to see dad. But eventually, what happened is I got to be able to. I wanted to play on something and I wanted to be on the stage. So my parents saw that and got me into drumming. So then my dad started teaching me, and that's where it all began.
And you're lucky because your dad's a teacher as well, isn't
Yeah,
he? So he's patient. Would you say he's patient when he's teaching you?
yes, very.
So how long do you think it took for you to really get to grips with playing the drums to where you were thinking, now I can play these songs, play along with these songs?
Well, it took me a bit of time. So the way I gotten into it is I started off by doing rudiments, which are like doing stuff like paradiddles, singles, doubles, triplets. So I started off with the rudimentals because they are the foundation for a lot of drum riffs and chops and stuff. And then from then on I started playing drum beats and we started recording drum covers, and at first this was just to record our progress. It still is even now. We didn't know that it would come up to the place we are right now.
Yeah, and you've played alongside some wonderful people, and you've also been picked out of the crowd by some people, haven't you, at concerts? Give the people a flavour of some exciting moments you've had already.
Yeah. So I have enjoyed being to a lot of concerts. Like for example, I think the first one I went to was a K-pop artist called G Dragon, and that was the first one. And then one of them was where Layla Hathaway invited me to her concert, and I got to dance on stage and also drum there, and I enjoyed watching it. And also some of my favorites was the Justin Timberlake concert because I feel like a lot of the concerts I go to, they're like so. This music is so groovable, and when I went to Khalid's concert, when I was just dancing, someone put the spotlight on me, and then everybody was watching. I was very confused but excited at the same time.
That was so exciting. I've seen that video. I remember it was just amazing. It's incredible. And I've shown you video as well to some artists as well. I showed them to like Prince's musicians, and they're like, "We need to follow that girl to the MPG," and because they say it's great when young people drum along to the music or dance to the music, because they have little dancers on stage as well. Because it's inspiring, isn't it, as well? Because it gives you more confidence.
It does. I feel like with music, it helps you build both strength physically, but also helps you remember stuff, and it helps you. Music itself helps you feel. In my opinion, it helps me. Like when I'm in a bad mood, like I listen to some music, and it always cheers me up.
And you can thrash it out on the drums as well, can't you? If you feel a bit angry.
Well, I myself do not like recommend expressing anger onto instruments, and I don't do that myself, but different things work for different people. So with my drums, I'm more expressing my joy than anything else.
Positive. You see, you're always positive. That's a good thing. It's kind of that way. You don't want to mess up your instruments, do you? Either, really.
Yeah.
Not so. And it's interesting that you say about how music makes you feel and gives you understanding, because music helps you with your maths, doesn't it? And it helps you with science. Now, I always say that musicians sometimes go, "Oh, but I know that you're not bad at maths. I can tell me I'm wrong."
You're not. Can I tell you a fun fact? This month, I just got into year 7 of my homeschooling, so it's been really fun. And funny enough, one of my favourite subjects is maths.
Yeah, I always say it's a good thing for you to get into, because it helps with those things, doesn't it? And it helps you, as you say, express yourself. And when you can express yourself in another way, not through words, it just makes you feel good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
So tell us about Back to Life.
Yeah, I enjoy that song, and I think it's especially relatable right now, because in this time we are coming back to a sense of normality from staying at home and having lockdown. We're coming back to a bit of a sense of normality each day.
We really are, and it's a great track to get you through lockdown. How did you find lockdown? Because I know you go your homeschools anyway, but it still meant that you couldn't see your friends in the same way, could you?
No, but I do have a lot of my friends' numbers, so fortunately I was able to talk with them still. And I feel like with lockdown, for me, I felt like I was very in productive mode, and I enjoyed it because I got to be creative. I feel like the lockdown inspired creativity for me at most.
So what other tracks would you like to pick for Black History Month? So what's next up?
Well, for what's to come, it's quite a surprise, but I could tell you a lot of songs that I really like. For example, there's also a song by Cleopatra called Life Ain't Easy, which I enjoy because it's very motivational. It's like life gives you some ups and downs, but keep on going. I enjoy lots of genres like jungle, hip hop, reggae, a lot of it.
So let's go back to Cleopatra, because they are a Manchester band. And you picked Life Ain't Easy, so that's a great illustration. But they're also a group of sisters. What did you think about the fact that one of our most popular girl groups came from Manchester and was signed by Madonna? Fun fact.
I honestly don't know what to say, because to be honest, like, it's really cool, but to be honest, I don't really focus on location much specifically, but it is a really cool fact.
See, I'm with you on that, because I think that wherever you are, even if you're in Luton, but you listen to music outside of Luton, and it helps if somebody else is kind of making it, but you still want to know, for Black History Month, you just want to know about what someone's done, don't you, and what they've produced.
Yeah.
And you just want to know about them as yes, this is a black artist and they've achieved this. So I'll tell you a little bit about them. So they were originally from Birmingham, but they moved to Manchester as young kids, and they got their own TV show. So they were one of the first to have their own TV show, and as
Wow.
well they Madonna signed them. So that was a big thing for because obviously Madonna's
Yeah.
huge,
I found
and
out
then
about that.
Madonna signed them to the American side, and so they were and because they had a theme tune, Cleopatra Coming At You.
Yeah, I've heard that
That
song a lot.
yeah. So even though you wouldn't have been around at the time, you still hear the song, and then when you watch them on YouTube, you think, because they've got the braids, and so you can identify with them. So it's it's interesting, isn't it? Like you say,
Yeah.
it doesn't kind of matter like where they're from, but it's just interesting to know that what they achieved, and also the fact that they still there still aren't many black girl bands in Britain.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you think about it, that and then now, so like there still kind of aren't many. And I just did a recent thing with the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra. It's going to be on next week, and we got Cleopatra back in to perform with the orchestra. And what
Oh,
was interesting was that three of the orchestra members said that they performed on that first album
they
that
did?
they were playing. Yeah,
Wow.
it shows you how it comes around. But yeah, but it's because there's also it's sometimes you don't remember things, but because they're a black girl group, it kind of comes back, and it was just so different at the
Yeah.
time. So that's why I wanted you to hear Cleopatra. And it's just funny that
Thank you.
coming at you that you know that.
I've really got to thank my parents for introducing me to these music because if it weren't for them, I wouldn't have the taste of music that I have now.
I say thank you to your mum all the time. You do great
Yeah.
covers of like
Thank
classic music. In terms of artists, I'll ask you about. I'm going to give you a choice of if there was a set of artists who came and said you could play with them, and I'll let you pick. So I've just thought of this now.
Ooh.
So right, okay. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
So there's a concert on tomorrow, so like it's a global concert, but then one person says, I want Geneva to play with me, and the artists are Erica Badu, Stevie Wonder, Gladys Knight, Lamar, so I'm bringing it kind of like down, Maxi Priest, let me think of Dave. Who are you going to pick?
Dave.
You can pick. You're going to pick. Say that again?
Dave.
Right, okay. Why are you going to pick Dave?
I feel like hearing a lot of his songs, they're very uplifting, but they also tell some truths that people are quite afraid to talk about publicly.
And that performance he did at the Brits was epic, wasn't
I
it?
loved it. It was beautiful.
It really was. It was so creative. So creative.
And
Now,
since then, I've replayed it a lot.
Sorry?
Since then, I've replayed that performance like many times.
Yeah, it's just because you watched it the first time and you're thinking this is great, and then you realise there's lots of things you were missing because it was so intricate, wasn't it?
Yeah, very.
Okay, I'll allow that one because I do think I think he made people think about the black story, black history, young people, intergenerations. I think he made people really think, didn't he?
Yeah, I myself, I really enjoy like thought-provoking conversations. Like I like things that start conversations, like whether it be songs, books, or even just videos. Like I like stuff that provoke conversations and provoke debates.
Something I've been thinking of, and this is a hard one, so it doesn't matter if you can't answer it, but I've been thinking about that often there aren't black statues up, and I've thought about this even before the Black Lives Matter thing, but there aren't black statues, and sometimes when you're walking around, you do see statues, or when you go abroad, you sometimes, if you don't see a statue, you see something, a park commemorating music or something like that. So, what would if there was if somebody could say to you, like, see a statue of someone, particularly if you're studying things now, who would you like to see a statue of or a plaque in memory of? Who do you think you'd like to? What would you like to see?
I probably have to say there's a lot, in fact. Like the people, like the black abolitionists who in the 1700s in England who called the Sons of Africa. I also think Mary Seacole, and also there's a lot more, like for example Ignatius Sancho, and there's a lot really.
There is, and it's like you say, there's when you start to think about it, because you don't see them. There's so many, aren't there? And in London, they've started to put up music plaques as well, like for artists, and so that it goes through. But in Manchester, there's hardly any. I don't know if there's any in Luton. Are there any in Luton?
Well, I haven't really looked at it really, so
But I think you'd notice even if you haven't looked. So when you go to Liverpool, there's statues of the Beatles and Ken Dodd. I know that in Ireland there's one of Phil Lynott, who was in Thin Lizzy, the black musician. So when you pass them, you notice them, but if they're not there to pass, you won't notice, will you? Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing, isn't it, really? And I know there's now one of Mary Seacole in London, but I think just in our cities, there should. I think we should have them.
I agree. I
And
definitely
we,
I definitely
yeah,
agree, because if we don't talk about them more, then eventually they're going to be erased. That's why I love reading books about black heroes, because if the truth is, if you don't learn your history, it's likely that if it's repeated, you won't notice.
yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing of like why it's good when you, like you say, for you to walk past something, even though sometimes the statue's there and you don't look, but now I think with modern statues, you'll think, oh, you will stop sometimes. Even if I said, I'm going to meet you somewhere and I'll meet you by a statue, you'll look and think, won't you, what's this about? And also if you're going to school, that it's something that they'll take you at school to see. So I think it's important, and I
Me
just think
too.
that when we're thinking about Black History Month, we need it to be longer than October, as we know, don't we? 'Cause I'm
Yes.
sure your parents teach you Black history all the time.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, my parents did too, and you need to know, so you need to have kind of like more there, and also I don't think Black British history. It's really we don't often talk about the people who were here centuries ago, like Samuel Coleridge Taylor, who was a musician,
Yeah,
composer. We don't really speak about them that much, do we?
we don't, because even so, I honestly feel like the further we are as a generation, like the more years that pass, I feel like the more black heroes that are being uncovered and revealed, and people start to know about them a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I agree with that. Um, so you like to read a lot, and I know one. We'll talk about a few of the books that you like, but one um, author is someone that so many people talk about is Akala.
Oh yeah, I actually have one of his books here right now. So I've read this book called Natives by Akala, and I've really loved it because he talks about how the British Empire has come to affect race and class in Britain. But not just that, he also talks about how it's affected the world, and how in his life story it's affected him directly.
Yeah, I mean, he's for people who don't know, he's a great lyricist, Akala. Have you been to see him live?
No, I haven't.
Geneva, you've got to go. Oh, you've got to go. The last time when it was his performance itself, but when he did his 10th anniversary, he had like Black History images going along the back as well
Wow,
on the stage. Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah. So for people who don't know about Carla, amazing lyricist. He also he likes to combine theatre and music, and he also likes to discuss Black history. And a lot of people are talking about that book. It's available as an audio book as well, and
It is?
it's a yeah, yeah. And I think it's right here. It's somebody who's right here, who's writing now, who's not your typical historian, but as you're saying, it gives you a great insight. Was it an easy read? Would you say?
Well, I'd say it gave me a bit of how do I explain this? It gave me some history that I didn't even know before, and it also gives an insight into his childhood and his personal life and how that's connected with the history that's happened before and not long after.
Yeah, and he was told at school that I think that he wouldn't get his exams, and then I think he aced everything. That's what he always says on stage as well. So he's an inspirational story in terms of like how to have self belief, I think. So what other book have you got on that stacked bookshelf behind you?
I also have a book called, where is it? Okay, so I have let me just bring out quite a couple.
Oh God, yeah.
I have these books.
Okay,
so
let's see.
there's this book called Black and British. It's by
David Olusoga.
Yeah.
He's now a professor at Manchester University.
He is.
Told you, North-South connection. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
And then there's also Don't Touch My Hair by Emma DeBerry.
Yeah. What do you like about that book?
What I enjoy about that book is how it explains how black hair has come to, at first, be stigmatized, being told that you can't wear it there, and that it's unacceptable or messy, and now people are appropriating it and using it at their own how do I say it, like using it for fashion, I suppose.
Yeah, so using it as like it's fashion, as if it's like just a throwaway accessory, and all of that. Yeah, great choice. And what else is in your hand?
And then I also have The Louder I Will Sing by Lee Lawrence.
Oh, I don't know that one.
So this book talks about Lee Lawrence's experience with race. Also talks about like a lot of stuff happening in like the 1980s, and also he explains about what the aftermath and his experience of seeing his mother Cherry Gross being shot by the police, and how that's shaped his experience of race and seeing how the police treat black people.
I do know about him because he's been doing interviews as well around that time, hasn't he, and sharing his memories of that. Yeah, and about that time, because after the shooting, his mum was in a wheelchair, wasn't she? Yeah. So powerful. That's a powerful read, isn't it? Absolutely powerful read. Did it upset you reading that?
No, it didn't really upset. It didn't really upset me, but it really shocked me. Like to see what his experience. It really shocked me to see personal experiences of racism, and especially encounters with the police, and how to see how things have changed 30 years on. Yeah.